So guys, finally we've got some balance changes coming our way. So let's take a look. First up, Conjures Calling has now been nerfed to 4 mana. Probably a bit too strong of a card on 3 mana. Some people might think that Mountain Giant was the problem. I myself would like to see a change to Mountain Giant itself, maybe being Hall of Famed. But this is a solution to the issue as well. What changes when this goes to 4 mana? Well, Conjurer's Mage is a bit slower. They can't do things like Evocation Giant Conjurers all on the same turn as soon as turn 4 on the coin, for instance, anymore. They have to wait another turn. Also, if they Giant on 4 and you don't kill it, they can only conjure it at once. They can't coin conjures, and they can't Khadgar conjures without using the coin. So there's a lot of reasons why this slows down Giant's Mage by quite a bit. Even though the card will probably still be good and probably won't see a decrease in play rate at all, really. I think the card will still be strong. Yeah, and Conjurer's Mage might be a bit more popular now after this next nerf of Luna's Pocket Galaxy, which is going to make Reno Mage a lot worse, I think. So yeah, maybe expect to see a rise in play rate of Conjurer's Mage and a decrease in Reno Mages going forward. So having this card being changed is nice. Next we have the Pocket Galaxy nerf, which is what I thought they would do to it, which is make it back to its 7 mana cost. I think it's a good idea. I think the 6 mana cost, which maybe a few people are upset about, they should have taken a middle ground, they think. I think 6 mana would still be too strong, particularly that they've printed several payoff cards this set, which increased the power level of Luna's Pocket Galaxy, like Tortollan Pilgrim, like King Faris, and Reno the Relicologist as well. Since they've been printed, Luna's Pocket Galaxy, they've just got stronger. And being 5 mana obviously is too strong, everyone knows that. But I think 6 mana as well would have been too strong. So seeing it going back to 7, hopefully putting it in pretty much an unplayable state, because I think the card itself was just not good for the state of the game. You didn't really have fun games of Luna's Pocket Galaxy. It was just a bit of a high roll card, a bit of a card where, you know, games became out of players' control, and it was just based on whatever you top decked after you played Luna's Pocket Galaxy. So deserving nerf. I'm glad it went to 7. Might see some play in Reno Mage still on 7 mana. You can play it with Pilgrim. You know, you can Pilgrim this out, and it doesn't really change that. But playing it for 7 mana is going to be a bit costly in more aggressive matchups. Also, something to note with Conjurers that I didn't mention is that now it's gone to 4 mana, you can't discover it off Magic Trick. So in those games against like Warrior, you're going to be having a lot less resources throughout the game, just because you're going to be basically limited to the Conjurers you get in your starting deck, or if you happen to random one off a Cyclone. So you're going to have a lot less value, I think, because you're not going to be able to get it off Magic Trick anymore. Now Warrior. Warrior changed Dr. Boom from 7 mana to 9 mana. Still kept the same effect. So effectively slowing down Dr. Boom. How big of an effect is this? If you're playing a really slow deck, this probably doesn't change too much. I mean, it's definitely a nerf. It's gonna hurt the Warrior in any matchup. This costing 9. That much is obvious. But it does a few things. One, you get 2 extra turns before they Dr. Boom you. If you're playing an aggro deck, the Warrior oftentimes would just be able to Dr. Boom you on 7, and then take advantage of the rushing mechs plus the hero power that you get from Dr. Boom on the following turns. But now they can no longer do that. Being at 9 mana means you can't Dr. Boom and Hero Power on the same turn, which is actually quite a big deal since the Hero Powers are generally pretty good. Like Microbots, the AoE, and the Zap, and the Armor one are all ones you're pretty happy to see when you play Boom on 9 and you Hero Power. If you look at the turn details for Dr. Boom, the win rate actually goes up a little bit when you get to turn 9 compared to like turn 8 and turn 7. That doesn't mean to say you should wait till turn 9 to play it. It just means that if you get to turn 9, obviously you're in a better spot as the warrior, and you do get that hero power. So there's quite a significant percentage jump here, basically, which is accounting for the hero power between this. It's about a 4% increase in win rate, which is quite significant. And this win rate is going to disappear, and the whole thing's going to lower anyway, because you're not be able to even play it on turn 7 anymore. So how does this affect an aggressive deck? Not only do you get a couple of extra turns before they boom, it's going to make the warrior have to use their resources, like the AoEs, more. Because what they can do now is they can fall a bit behind on board, play Dr. Boom, you get a bunch of health and good hero powers, right? So they boom you on 7, and then on 8, they can just hero power, and if they get blast shield, they can shield slam your biggest thing, which is good tempo and good life gain there. If they get like the AoE one or Zap or Microbots, they all contribute to board control. And you can do something which is usually not going to be a powerful turn 8, which is something like Dynamatic, and combined with the hero power and the fact that the Dynamatic has rush itself, it suddenly becomes a very powerful turn 8. And that's turn 9 as well, they can do this. But if you haven't got boom up, you can't do this anymore. So you're going to have to be using things like Brawl, you're going to have to be using things like Warpath to stay alive, because something like Dynamatic on turn 8, when you don't have boom up, isn't going to be powerful enough of a play to stop aggressive decks. It's likely going to leave minions alive. It's going to kill off maybe a couple of small things, but most of the attack power is still going to stay on the board. And because the Dynamatic doesn't have rush and you don't have that supplementary hero power, most of the attack power on board is going to stay there, and the Dynamatic itself is going to be weak to removal and tempo plays from the aggro deck itself. So it's going to force a situation where warrior has to play out resources that they would rather not play out. So they're going to be having to use up their warpaths and their brawls, which means that the aggro decks might do better value-wise against boom. What's more is that it might be the case that now it costs 9, is that boom is a card you don't really want to be keeping in the mulligan anymore. Right now it was obviously correct to keep a 7 mana and boom in the mulligan, but a 9 mana one might be a bit more tricky. What that means is if you're throwing away Dr. Boom in the mulligan, you're going to see boom way less often, because people aren't keeping it in the mulligan, you're not going to see it. It's just going to go into the deck, and you're going to get it randomly instead of the extra percentage of being able to keep it in the mulligan as well. So you're going to see a lot less boom. It's going to be a lot slower. The warrior is going to be forced to use their resources. Something else you can do is, if you're expecting them to want to play a boom, because they want to play a boom before 10 really, because they want to be able to rush their Omega Devastators, and they want to play the Devastators on 10 anyway. So if they're not booming on 9, then they're not going to be booming for a while, because they want to be using turn 10 to play Omega Assemblies and Omega Devastators and their mechs and stuff. So what you can do is you can hard pressure them on turn 9, knowing that all they're doing is getting 7 armor. So it might be a bit trickier to actually play Dr. Boom from the warrior side, because smart players are going to be piling onto the board on going into turn 9. And if the warrior is forced to not boom that turn, well, you can pile on again, and it's going to be harder and harder for the warrior to actually play the Dr. Boom. If you think of a card like Jiraxxus, Jiraxxus is really hard to play. Why? Is because you don't get the tempo of the hero power. Sometimes it will heal you the same amount as Dr. Boom, really. if you're low on life and you still can't play it. You have to play a more board focused play. And I think the Dr. Boom is going to feel fairly similar, where it's going to be turns where you're like, I can't really play Dr. Boom. Probably a bit easier to play than Jiraxxus, given you don't limit your health pool and you always get 7 armor. But still, there's going to be that situation where you just can't play Dr. Boom, and it's going to really slow down your overall game plan. Next up, Priest. A lot of people are upset about this. That Priest got a nerf. I've read the threads on like Reddit. I've seen people on Twitter, even on my own videos. I've had people talking about how Priest shouldn't be nerfed, and I think they definitely should be. If you've played in Legend ranks against this new aggro style Priest, it is very oppressive. If you're any sort of board centric deck, whether it be Quest Shaman, whether it be Paladins or whatever, it's so hard to get onto board against the Priest. If they play 1-drop into extra arms, you're just off the board for the rest of the game. And because Priest has so many snowbally cards, like things that full heal their minions, circular healing, taunts, psychopomps, etc., etc. Once you're off the board against a Priest and they're on the board, they're just going to snowball their advantage into a victory very, very quickly. So the nerf to extra arms is going to really delay that. It means they're not going to be able to just win board control by playing a 1-drop. The Priest Mirror as well is like one of the worst matchups right now. If you go first and get a 1-drop into extra arms, you just win. Doesn't matter what the opponent's hand is. They could have the absolute nuts on going second, but if they can't beat 1-drop into extra arms. I would have liked to have seen a change to Cleric. I understand one of the devs was speaking that Cleric was looked at and it's something they might want to change in the future, but the rest of Priest isn't ready for Cleric to be changed yet, which is a fair statement, I guess. Priest would really probably suffer if Cleric was nerfed right now. But the card is broken. I'm a bit worried when they say that it's just not going to get nerfed. And the card's been broken for so long. It's going to be hard for them to put in, enough stuff or enough changes for like the classic set or whatever, or put in OP things in future sets to make up for Cleric. I just feel like the card's just not going to get changed, and it should be changed because it is so broken. It's still going to be very strong in Priest. I think Priest is going to be still a very strong deck. The only thing is that Cleric itself is a lot easier to deal with if you're a board centric deck, because you can actually contest it on the early turns. Like if they play Cleric on 1, you can actually play a 2-drop or a 1-drop and expect it to live a good portion of the time because of this extra arms change. So it's definitely going to decrease power level of Priest, but I still think Priest is going to be good, and Cleric's a big part of that, and probably still needs a change at some point. Like this is like Blessing of Kings, this is Blessing of Pharaohs, right? That's the difference in terms of mana cost, which is a huge deal. Finally, we have Barnes getting changed. This is way overdue. People have been asking this for years. They finally did it. So, hooray. If you've been saving onto a Barnes knowing it will get nerfed at one point, good for you, get some dust. I personally disenchanted this guy as soon as he left standard. I hated this guy. So he got disenchanted straight away. But if you've still been holding on to him, congrats on your dust. You earned it. Still think Barnes will be good on 5. Less blowouts. Obviously, extra mana cost is gonna change a lot, but still an unhealthy card for the game, I think. But I don't really play wild at all, so there's more for you wild guys to figure that one out. Alright, let me know what you guys think of these nerfs, because they had done more. I personally would have liked to see maybe a change to Ziliax. I wasn't really expecting it, but I think the card is a bit too strong. Also, some other cards like Frost Nova and Leroy Jenkins could have been looking to Hall of Fame, but that might happen at the end of the cycle rather at this point, which is halfway through the year. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one.